Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 67 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. To catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I'm your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian, joined tonight by the wall that will not fall, Tetsuo.
I'm back for now.
He's back.
Before he gets sent back.
Where'd he go?
To the
Goes
Yeah.
back to the front lines.
Back to Vegas, gambling all that baby
I
money.
know, right?
How was your trip to Vegas?
It was good. The whole business side was great, but I mean, I guess Vegas is known for its eating.
Buffets.
Yeah, I didn't really know that. I only went to like one or two buffets, but we went to a bunch of different restaurants, and everything I ate was just fantastic. I think my favorite place. So there was this. They called it the Nine Fine Irishmen, and it was this Irish pub restaurant. And I kid you not, the chicken pot pie and the shepherd's pie come in full-size bucket pails, and it's like the size of your head plus, and you're just like, holy crap.
Well, I love both of those things, so.
So good.
Jeebus.
We got the Dark Fortune Duelist meta.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you come
The
in.
Meat Man.
Take a seat. Would you like some cookies? I've got some milk in the fridge with it.
I always want milk and cookies.
Can I just take a glass of milk?
Yeah, sure, you can have that.
Delicious malt. the resident wild card who denies his wild card status. Mao. I'm gonna reject your wild. Give me back your wild card. You're getting deported back to Normieville.
No.
But you wouldn't expect that from a wild card, so doesn't that still play into his wild cardness?
Hey.
You can't take it away.
He pleads the fifth.
He does. He has to plead the fifth.
He pleads the fifth. He'll only speak with you to you with immunity.
So this is our spooky episode. Spooky in quotes with a question mark.
I don't know if it's
Exclamation question mark. I mean, it just kind of turned out that way, right?
we've got more episodes to go for this month. Those could be spooky as well.
But don't you know we celebrate Halloween? We start celebrating that stuff in like August now.
Hey, I saw a commercial for Christmas shit today, so...
Yeah, some places already have the Christmas stuff out.
They do.
Yep.
I've gone to some stores and they have both Halloween and Christmas stuff up at the same time. I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
Okay,
No.
so our Hallow Xmas episode, right?
Yeah, right. My topic is going to be, what do you all want for Christmas? That's going to be my topic.
Cole.
Coal, so that I can
Who's coal?
fuel the fire to keep my family warm this cold Christmas.
All right, Ted. So you got the first spooky topic, so
Okay.
spook me.
On a scale of 1 to
it might be-
skeleton.
It might be setting the bar kind of low, though. It's not that spooky. My wife and I picked up a new game when I got back from Las Vegas, the Arkham Horror card game. I know
That's
I know
pretty
Lovecraft
spooky.
isn't all that scary, but...
Yeah, bro, I was going to say that's not scary at all.
Yeah, no.
No, it's actually been a card game I've been wanting to get for a long time and just never had an opportunity to until now, so that made me happy.
Wait, quick question for you before you
Yes.
start.
Yes.
Is this the new one, or is this like an older version of it?
I didn't know there were two versions.
Yeah, I
so
think there are
there's,
two
there's
versions, yeah.
3 total card games. One of them, I forget, I don't know much about. It's like 80s. Then there was one, the Call of Cthulhu card game, which I think Fantasy Flight partially did, but it was a collectible card game, so it was a CCG. And then the newest one, the Arkham Horror card game, is a LCG under Fantasy Flight.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure I knew which one we were talking about, because I know there was a couple out there, and I was like, uh-oh,
Yep.
I don't remember.
Yeah, this one's in the same vein as the Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, and Elder Sign board games that
Yeah.
Fantasy Flight has put out. In fact, it shares some of the artwork with them, which I'm
Not
okay
surprised.
with. But yeah, it's kind of like you could have done it, but at the same time, it's good artwork. I mean,
Hey, if you got a good asset, use it.
exactly. I mean, it's a it's kind of standard LCG fare. You buy sets. The sets are specific cards. It'll never vary. Um, and you'll build your deck, and then you and a teammate, well, you and another person will play. But where it varies from all the other LCGs, and this is why I've been wanting to get my hands on it, besides the fact that it's Lovecraft, is that it's cooperative. It's not competitive. Well, I guess it could be competitive if you.
Isn't there can't you play like the horror factions though? If I recall.
Say again.
Can't you play like the other There's multiple factions you can play as, right?
No, not in this one. You have different classes you can play as depending on what investigator you choose. Limits what card you can put into your deck. But the forces of evil, the whatever your scenario is going to be, is actually controlled by what they call this agenda deck. So the main way to further the game, there's an agenda deck and an act deck, and you want to progress the act deck because that's essentially moving on the story, right? Like acts, like chapters. And so they're generally good for the investigators. Maybe not necessarily. They can cause bad things to happen, but they're generally good.
But what if I want to cause everybody to go insane?
Well, you can do that by A, just playing badly, but then B, you have
by being a scrub.
Well, and then,
by being terrible at the game, you could probably do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not entirely kidding, and also the chance, which I'll get to how they handle chance in a minute, which is also really cool. But so the other deck is called the Agenda deck, and that is the agenda of whatever dark, shadowy, evil Cthulhian forces you're fighting. This scenario.
Sounds like the deck I want to play.
Yeah, well, it's usually only 2 or 3 cards. Same with the Act deck, because they are like once you complete this thing, flip the card and do the next card. Whereas the agenda is if you don't complete something, or if say this monster happens to enter this room or something like that, then the agenda deck goes forward. One of the other ways that the agenda deck goes forward is by the accumulation of Doom tokens. So essentially you have, in addition to those, there are what's called the encounter deck. Now this is pulled from automatically based off of different rules, different cards, locations, etc. But so you have location cards that you move your investigator around, and you're trying to unravel clues. And then, as I said, sometimes the agenda might say, all right, you're going to flip an encounter card, and suddenly you have like 6 ghouls that pop out in the hallway, and you're like, oh shit, I'm dead. Whatever. But what I thought was really neat was, again, the way that they handle chance. There's no dice rolling in this game. But instead they have this thing called the chaos bag, where you put in these tokens, and depending on the scenario and the difficulty you want to play on will determine different tokens to put in. And so every time you would do an action, you will reach into the bag. You'll add up all your points based off of your strength, agility, wisdom, whatever, and then grab into the bag, and then there's usually like 1 or 2 positive, and then like 10 plus negative chips in there. And so whatever the chip says, that's your modifier, and it can be anything from like a +2 to a -10. So usually the chaos bag makes things worse for you, rather than better, but there's always that chance. And then there's like the Elder Sign, which if you played any other of Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy is well known for Cthulhu.
I will do this. I told you I will do this every time. Fantasy Flight. If you played any of their previous Arkham games, they love to include the Elder Sign as a central mechanic.
Yeah.
And so each investigator has a special ability where if you draw that Elder Sign, you get the special ability. It just happens instantaneously. And so essentially it goes, in each round you get to choose which player acts first, but all of the players act, and then all the monsters act, and then you possibly get your encounters, redraw, untap, etc., reset. So that's kind of the cycle of the game. And the main point is to try to finish the act before the agenda runs out.
So what kind of like actions and cards do you play? Or I assume you have a deck, one deck at least.
Yeah, so how it plays into the LCG factor, you will build your own deck, and if you just buy the single core set, 2 people can play, and unfortunately you can't play every combination of investigator, because each investigator is one of the 5 classes, and then has one of the other classes as a subclass. So what that means is, whatever your main class is, you have access to all of those cards, but your subclass, you only get some of them. You can't fully level up your subclass as you can your main. Which is a level up I'll get to in a second too, but that's one of the other really cool things about this game. But so you each build your decks, and then and as I said, in the core set, up to 2 people can play, but it's built to be 2 to 4 players. Or actually, sorry, 1 to 4 players. You can play this game by yourself. If you do so, I do recommend you kind of start out at least on normal, unless you are severely masochistic, because the game is hard. It is pretty difficult, as the Arkham games tend to be. So you come in and you each have your decks. But what's cool is, so as I've been talking about these scenarios, different packs will have so many scenarios built in, and they'll usually include a piece of paper for you to like record your progress on, because the scenarios will be like, as I said, 2 or 3, and as you complete them, you'll gain experience points. You can then use those experience points to buy cards that, because you can't include every card in your deck, right? You have to, some of them will say they cost this much experience, so you spend those experience points on those cards to make your deck better. So you level up between scenarios, and then if you want to string campaigns together, you can. But where it comes to the turnaround is that you can take permanent, they call it trauma, physical and mental trauma, which means you start the game with however much trauma on your health or sanity. So like we played it in our first game, and at the end of the first scenario, the character I was playing had 4 sanity, and at the end of the first scenario, I had 2 mental trauma. So I had 2 sanity for the rest of the campaign.
Oof.
At max. Ooh. We somehow won, but oh my goodness, was it intense.
So is it you and your... Oh, go ahead, Meta, sorry.
I was going to say, it's like, what does... You mentioned it like as leveling up. Are there any benefits to this, or?
Yeah, so the cards that you can buy with those experience points are either better versions of cards you already have. Okay. So one case and example that I can remember off the top of my head, there's a card called Beat Cop, which you can play. So with cards, you have events and assets. Assets you play, they stay on the field. Events instantaneous. One of the asset types is an ally. So the Beat Cop is an ally. And so he can take damage for you. Instead of you taking it, put it on him and kill him off.
You there, jump in front of the policeman.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got it, boss.
But he also has an ability where you can sacrifice him to immediately do 1 point of damage to a monster in the same location as you. Similar type thing. Hey, go shoot that monster for me. See what happens.
It feels like it ends very poorly for him.
Yeah. I'm just going to throw the guy at the monster.
He's struggling, seemed to hurt it, though. He stabbed it a little bit.
Yeah. But so when you level him up, he actually gets more life. He costs 1 less to play. And instead of having to kill him to do 1 damage, you can just tap him.
Ooh.
So, but the level up difference between that, you have to spend like 4 or 5 experience points. I forget how many. He's a large level up for that one.
It sounds like a lot of the strategy of the game then is what do you level up when? It sounds like.
Can you choose not to level up and instead not take the penalties that come with that, or like the permanencies of things, or do you just, it's an automatic mechanic, you just have to level up and take it?
Well, if you're playing a campaign, you don't have to spend the experience points, but it's like an RPG, right? Like it sits in your pail of experience points until you want to spend them.
Well, I meant like in the campaign, like do you, like if you say is it possible just to go in like with a new character, new clean slate, or is it
you could
stick with that one character and you have to?
You could theoretically, and you could even play a campaign where each scenario you just play it as its own standalone scenario.
Okay.
But you do lose something there, right? And so
Yes, you would lose the
in-
ability to level up and whatnot. So
right, and whenever you get knocked out in a scenario, you don't actually you're not dead for the next 2 or however many remaining scenarios of the campaign. That's one of the ways to take trauma. So if you get taken out by losing all of your health, you'll take 1 physical trauma. If you get taken out by mental, you'll take 1 mental trauma.
I'm guessing there are also cards that can just give you trauma from the enemy, or is there actions, events that can happen that can do that?
Not cards, but so one of the cool things is depending on how you play, both of those decks, as I talked about, can give you a different resolution. Sometimes there are as many as 4 or 5 resolutions based off of how you completed things. Did you complete this card without gaining these cards? Did you gain these cards but not kill this guy? That type of thing. So you can get different resolutions. And some resolutions can also put trauma on you. And that's why I say, like, finishing the act deck without, touching the agenda is quote unquote generally better for you because you don't get as much trauma. But it still can sometimes say, all right, spawn in this monster. He's right behind whoever, his turn finished and spawned him in, type deal. So it can still be bad, but generally speaking, you're not going to be getting those trauma at the end of each of the resolutions.
So how does it? I'm assuming when you play cooperative, you take turns playing. Like, can they interact with your cards on your turn and stuff?
So, well, one of the it's one of the quote unquote rules, but it's not. I guess not necessarily. You don't have to follow it. Is you can't see what the other person has in their hand, and they encourage you to stay in character. Don't say, "Oh, I have a machete. If you go attack him, I can come up behind you and tap this for 3 damage."
Gotcha.
It's I can back you up. I have a bladed, whatever. But if you talk to each other and see what is in each other's hands, no big deal. But on your turn, at the beginning of each round, you can decide who goes first. But that person has to take all 3 of. So you get 3 actions. And that person will have to take all 3 of their actions that turn before you go. But you can take any number of actions, or there's like a list. There's a little card. I can't remember. It's like attack, move. You can investigate to try to find clues. You can different actions cost things. Playing cards is an action. That kind of thing. And so you can do as many of those as you want that adds up to 3, and then the other person has to go. But there are cards that like give you more actions or says, you
Okay. Just silence.
I think the Eldritch Horror's got him, guys.
Well, moving on. Hobbs' topic. Or no. Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you now.
Yeah, we're back
Okay.
now.
Golly, when did I cut out?
Cthulhu got you. That's what we were saying.
Wait, when did I cut
like
out?
20 seconds ago, maybe.
Okay, so so you get the 3 actions. You can do any order of the actions that you all of yours before the other person can go. Was essentially it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I was saying that there's some cards that will like say like these actions don't cost you a full action. You can use them as maybe a fast action or a reactionary thing, or you don't use up an action to do this type of thing. That there's a few cards that do that. They're fewer and far between. But you can discuss with each other like what you.
So cards say like investigate, and you take an investigate action, or is that how it works? Nope, I think he's gone again.
Yeah.
Curse you, Cthulhu.
His headphones got him.
Yeah, hello?
All right.
Yep.
I can hear you
Okay.
again.
All right.
Did you hear what I asked?
Yeah, I did.
You roboted. He's gone again. Oh my gosh. Poor Tet. It's always
Poor
Tets
Tet.
with the
It's always
technical
Tets.
difficulty.
I know. He does nothing to deserve this. He's
I
a
know.
good pet.
Wow.
He's a good defender of the wall.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah, you investigate. That's a mechanic in the game. You play it. And
That's
it
a
does,
good mechanic.
It does
Generally,
stuff.
That's a good mechanic for any game.
Arkham Horror.
You go attack. Attacking's good. It kills stuff.
You can
Arkham
apparently
Arkham Horror the game.
Kill your allies for your personal gain.
That's great.
All right, you're back now.
Am I back?
Yes.
Yep.
For
Okay.
now.
For now.
For now.
Quick,
Me crab, me no like technology.
talk faster.
But so with the investigate action though, so that's an action you can take because whenever you reveal a location, it'll have so many clues on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you can take the investigate action to try to discover some of those clues. But some cards will say and take an investigate action, so then at the end you will get a clue, but then it'll also say like gain a bonus this many points, or instead of rolling for the clue, just automatically gain it, that kind of thing. So sometimes they'll say that instead, or they'll say like you can take a fight action, or you can play a card that takes a fight action, but then you get the +2 attack or whatever the card ends up being.
Yeah.
So that's how that kind of works. And so in order, usually to further the act deck, you want clues. Clues will usually be what you use.
What are some examples of things you need to do?
Okay, so in one of the games how do I do it without spoilers? Because the game is really good, but it can easily be spoilery. So in the first scenario that's in the Corp set, the first time the game starts, you're actually in one of the characters' house. You can choose whoever's it is. And suddenly the door to the study disappears and you're locked inside of the study, and so you have to get out. That's the first act card. And to pass it on, you just need to get 2 clues. Well, there's 2 clues in the room. So you just pass 2 investigate actions, you discover what happened to the door, and you further the act deck.
Disappeared.
That's
what happened.
I won't spoil necessarily what happens there, but it's from there, I should say. But that one's really fun. That one's really interesting.
Will some be like kill certain monsters?
Yes.
Or...
Yeah, one of them is kill this monster before this agenda card comes up. There's another one that is... So I got one of the side scenario packs, The Curse of the Rougarou, which takes place in Louisiana, in the bayou, and you're pretty much trying to hunt down this werewolf, or Rougarou as they call it. And as you get to the end, you kind of have a few options presented to you. So, like, one of the courses you can end up taking is trying to track it down and kill it, or you can try to capture it. You can try talking to the guy and convincing him to not be a werewolf anymore. I don't really know. I didn't go down that path, so I don't know how.
You were like
Stop.
Anthropy. Just get rid of it.
So, and that was one of the other cool things. So there's a few cards that you have like a deck size you have to stay to. But depending on what you do, sometimes you'll get cards that permanently go into your deck that don't count towards that cap number. So like in the first scenario, or the first campaign we played, I actually got 2 cards that permanently went into my deck, whereas in the Rougarou one, my wife actually got a card to permanently use.
So it's like half deck builder too, almost.
Yeah, a little bit. It's more deck builder in the sense that, like, Magic the Gathering is deck building. Like, the deck building isn't necessarily part of a core mechanic, but it is an aspect of play. But it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting more of the scenario packs and seeing more of the stories. They are very, they stay very true to the Lovecraftian feel. It's not like, oh, you're suddenly fighting Azathoth and somehow fighting Azathoth. No, that's not happening. You are trying to prevent them from even so much as ringing his phone, or otherwise you're doomed.
Lots of cultists, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, well, at least the ones we played had a good number of them. But yeah, so that made me happy though, because sometimes you get like Lovecraftian games that say they're Lovecraftian, and they, because they have Cthulhu in it, and then you end up driving a boat firing cannons at Cthulhu because that's somehow going to do something. Like,
The game did not go how the GM thought it would go.
Exactly.
That meme, I love those. The what I'm running, what I thought it was going to be, what it actually was.
Yep.
Meme, I love those. All right, Meta, the Meat Man. What do you got?
You know what? I'm going to bring you the spooky, scary topic for this week.
Skeletons?
Yeah, skeletons. You got to prep for the skeleton war, guys. Have you got your skeleton warning lights? Because you need to make sure that you are aware of
Too
all
spoopy.
skeleton-based things. Right.
I think they're coming from the inside.
I have my
I think
channel
they are,
divinity.
You have to be
Feature.
careful. There might be a skeleton inside of you right now.
I'm gonna turn undead. Oh no!
It's too late, Obs. It's already
They've
got you
infiltrated
inside
me.
of you. So obviously it's Spooktober. And you gotta keep up scary theme stuff. I mean, you
Yeah, I know,
can't
like
not.
pumpkin spice. That's horrifying.
God, yeah, that's terrifying and everything. That shows up everywhere. I'm sorry, but like, maybe we've gone a little bit too far with pumpkin spice. I just have on the counter right now a box of Kellogg's Frosted Flakes pumpkin spice.
So you're part of the problem.
No,
Billy's
it wasn't
part of
me
the
who
problem.
bought it. It was not me who bought it. So I am safe. I'm not a
Yeah.
part of the problem. I would have vetoed it had it been brought to the council. It was not.
There was
So-
my friend last year bought a weird thing, some kind of pumpkin spice. I don't know what kind of alcohol it was. It was disgusting though.
Like, I get it. Pumpkin spice is great. Everybody loves pumpkin spice. It's so amazing, but it doesn't need to be in everything.
I mean,
Going
clearly
around
some
though-
people think it does.
Yeah, clearly some people it
Like
does,
your
yeah.
better half.
Actually, like, to be serious, I do like pumpkin spice. I don't really care that it's everywhere. I will always ride the wave of jokes that are made about pumpkin spice being everywhere, though, because I love being on that kind of joke wave. But I don't mind it too much. If there's something seasonal that comes around, it's kind of nice that it's celebrated by so many people. And I'll be frank, I do love pumpkin pie, so if I can have that in more
Well,
flavors.
that's Spookvember.
Let's Spookvember. This is pumpkin pie Vember. But yeah, so that shows up in everything. But it is also time for other things to show up, like scary movies. Because obviously it's October. You gotta have scary movies. You've gotta have, and I'm not talking like scary movies that are truly trying to be scary. I'm talking about like cheesy ones. You need to love those cheesy ones. That is quite literally an old one, Cleric. I don't know why I said that. But I mean, like, you got like, if you like, last year, I think it was actually last year, quite literally, I talked about in our November podcast because it was after The Babysitter, which was a horror movie that had come out for October and Halloween and whatnot. I thought it was great, cheesy as crap. It was very clearly designed to be almost it was very clearly designed to be like a joke in and of itself. I love it.
Kind of
It's great.
campy.
Yeah, very campy. Absolutely loved it. And obviously we've got a couple more coming out this month. I think there's Hellfest or Health. I think it's called like Hellfair or something like that. We've got the new Michael Myers
Which I heard was
movie
actually not bad
was it? Oh, good. That's good to hear.
for a soft reboot.
And obviously there's a couple more out there that I can't remember the names of off the top of my head, so I'm not gonna try. So there's a lot of movies out there that are obviously Halloween based, very spooky, scary. Some campier than others, obviously, but there's no way you can go through life without seeing at least one scary movie. It's just not possible. Everybody wants to see at least one, whether it's super campy or takes itself a little seriously. You got to see one. So for you guys, what is your favorite scary movie and why? Now, you can't choose. I mean, you can choose from a series, but I would prefer you pick your favorite one in a series if it has one. So if you're talking like Freddy or Jason, you got to choose like your favorite one in it. And not to say the whole series is great, because I mean that's fighting words to some people. But yeah, no, seriously, like, what is your favorite scary movie? And if there's no one that you can really find a favorite of, I'm gonna say you're copping out on me. And do you have like actually a
I'm
preference
looking at
of?
you, Mao.
You look at you, Mao. Is there a certain style of scary movie you like more? Do you like the ones that are a little bit more actually trying to scare you, or do you like ones that are a little bit more campy and kind of make fun of the whole thing?
Paranormal Activity, brah. Thought that no, not Paranormal Activity.
I was like, don't lie to me.
I think I talked about this on the podcast before, but the witch is amazing. I think it's the perfect Halloween spooky scary movie. It's got all the great atmosphere. It's slow, lots of long shots and open spaces. It's a period piece set in pre-colonial, or I believe it's pre-America. It's like the 1600s, I think. And
I remember you talking about this one.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, family goes out in the woods. One of their spoilers for something that happens in like the first 10 minutes of the movie. Their newborn child, this family, gets kidnapped by a witch. While the older sister is watching her, and you watch the family slowly descend into madness. It's really not about a witch. It's more about the family going insane and not being in civilization and stuff. It's kind of about how horrifying it is being out on your own alone, in a way. So it's great. The old classic franchise movie, because I've talked about The Witch before, I want to talk about something different. Friday the 13th, or no, not Friday the 13th. I don't know. I always confuse these. Nightmare on Elm Street. I have. He said, "Don't do this." I have the one that's not scary. That's my actual favorite, Dream Warriors. Just because it's complete. It's not scary at all. It's just complete cheese. It's kids in a mental asylum, and it's the Dream Warriors. It has a cheesy Dawkins song in it that's amazing, and the kids basically like try to fight. There's scenes where they like become badasses because they're like, we're in a dream, we can like lucid dream and fight Freddy Krueger, and it goes bad for them. But there's like one kid who wants to be a wizard, so he becomes a wizard and like shoots them with lightning. One of the girls wants to be like a badass assassin and fights him and all that kind of stuff. I just love it because it's cheesy and hilarious, and I love the Nightmare on Elm Streets just because of Freddy, because his clips are hilarious. And but actual scary Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I really like New Nightmare, which a lot of people are iffy on, but it's cool because it's the person who played the main character in the first movie. It's a movie about her filming a new movie. It's a weird meta commentary kind of movie thing. She's making a new movie, and there's like a different Freddy Krueger that's actually going after the actress who played the person in the first movie. And there's the original Friday, or the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie within that movie. So it's kind of insane. It's actually pretty good. So I'll go with those.
Movie.
I mean, those are good ones to choose from. I'm surprised that Halloween really is not Halloween. The Witch is like your de facto favorite, though.
It's amazing. It's the best horror movie I've seen in a long time. Because a lot of horror movies are jump scares and stuff now, and I'm not all about that trend.
Yeah, I don't
when
want
I
to
Google best horror movies, it is it is across the top as number.
It has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, so
watch it. Watch it, Meta. Watch it. It's amazing. It's on Netflix.
I'm sure I can get Lily to watch it with me because she loves horror movies.
It legitimately scared me.
I have to say, it's kind of hard for me to choose, but I think I'm gonna really have to go with, and I know it's a fan favorite, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Hocus Pocus. It's just clearly the best.
I was not expecting that answer, but
I'm lying. It's actually.
I was gonna say I'm not arguing with you.
It's got 3 witches. It's more witches than The Witch.
Yeah, yeah. There's only one witch in that.
No, I mean, I don't want to cop out, but I really did like The Babysitter. But I'm not gonna do that one again because that was a really good one. I have to say, and I mean, I guess you'll have to judge it for yourself. I really, really enjoy either the original Alien or the Cabin.
Alien.
Yeah, or the Cabin in
the Woods is amazing too.
Yeah.
And
it's such a love letter, man. It's a love letter.
That's what makes it so great because in the movie, like the story. I don't know if I've told the story or not for it, but when I originally watched Cabin in the Woods, Lily actually got me to watch it because I was like, I'm just not a big fan generally of horror movies. It's not that I get scared of them or whatnot. I actually get and it's not really any better. I get angry because I don't like how the fact that characters are generally kind of dumbed down a lot
Yeah.
for the movies, and it frustrates me to no end because I'm like, why can't you just write a movie where the characters are smart and are doing the right things,
I am
but
so
still
much on
getting
that
screwed?
hate. I
I
agree with you 100% on that. Like,
it just kills me, and I don't know why that's so frustrating for me. But so the first opening to Cabin in the Woods, when we first started with it, I was very frustrated when I first started watching it because there were obviously it was obviously making a love letter, and they were making fun of the things, how it was all set up to make them be idiots and whatnot. But it still frustrated me. But then you get to that second half of the movie, the kind of the twist to it, which I don't know if this really spoils it anymore. But when they finally, I'm gonna ruin it. So, but when they finally go and it turns and they go inside the compound and they find out about everything for it, um, it becomes amazing, so much better. I absolutely fell in love with the movie once that was done. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And that changed it on my head for me and everything. Um, but I give them props for the first half of the movie when they truly are there. It does get pretty creepy at times. They do a wonderful I was about to say job of
They dropped the ball.
They drop the ball. They do a wonderful job of getting that atmospheric horror and whatnot. And it's almost kind of compounded by the fact that the characters aren't simply stupid for the sake of stupid. They're being manipulated by other people and drugs and other things to get them to act stupid so that they can follow a set pattern.
Yeah, the mist that comes through the vents or whatever that makes them
Yes.
literally make the wrong choices.
Yes, and I mean the fact that they've done all this pre-prepping and whatnot, that they specifically like spiked the blonde the hair for the hair dye for the one girl, so that it actually causes her mind to actually be slow on the upkeep of things, which causes her to become the dumb blonde, as it is like a trope.
Yeah.
I liked that stuff. That was very fun to see when it did crop up, and I absolutely love the movie. It's probably going to be my favorite over Alien, just because it is also a love letter to scary movies in and of itself. But by God, is Alien well
Alien
done.
is great.
So
a lot of people like Aliens 2 the most in that series. I actually don't like Aliens 2 a lot. I like Alien, the original Alien. I want another Alien horror movie.
Alien was great because of what it was. Although Alien 2 gave us some fantastic lines, so you cannot deny that honor to it. But yeah, I would say definitely Cabin in the Woods. I know the second half, like I know it isn't in a much of a comedy sometimes as it is a horror movie, but there really were well done things about it that made it a good scary movie, while also being something different than you see in
the Japanese girls that defeated their monster
by singing a song to it. That was
holding
great.
hands and chanting around it.
It was great. Well, the funniest part about that at the end of the movie is quite literally the fact that it still ends on like a kind of a classic horror trope where the evil creature wins. So it was pretty good. What about you, Mao or Tets?
Well, I can go since Cabin in the Woods is probably the closest thing for me.
I imagine that'd be a lot of people's answer too.
Just because. Well, I mean, I don't have the breadth of.
You're not a horror connoisseur,
right? I just don't watch them. Closest thing I watch is horror comedy. So I've got the
that counts in my book.
Like Zombieland.
Zombieland's hilarious.
That is a pretty funny movie. Yeah.
Army of the
Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. The Evil Dead and Army of Dead and all those.
Darkness.
Oh, those are good. But those are good.
Those are great.
I mean, out of all of those, I think my favorite is just Zombieland. But just because of the comedy is just great.
Yeah.
I mean, technically is a love letter as well.
Yeah, to zombie movies.
Yeah.
It was right at the heart of the zombie craze, kind of.
Yeah,
it really was.
I expect. Yeah, the sequel's probably gonna suck.
I didn't even know they were doing a sequel.
Yeah, they're doing a
Starts
sequel.
filming in January.
Like 10 years later, almost.
I'm surprised they are.
They got all the original actors, actresses.
Woody Harrelson in it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I'm just surprised they're doing a second one because I mean, it kind of. I don't know. Does it need a sequel?
Who knows? I mean, originally it was also going to have a TV show focused on a
Wow.
different group of people, but yeah, I guess it never picked up. I think it may have even originally was going to be a TV show, but it got picked up as a movie.
They got Emma Stone too.
As far as I know. I mean, I think nearly all of them have been nominated for an Oscar since Zombieland.
Fair enough.
But they've all.
Yeah, because the one guy was in The Social Network, wasn't he?
Yeah.
The real question is, did they get Bill Murray?
That might be tricky.
Yeah, he's a big
Really write
grumpy
him into
now.
the story. But yes, Cabin in the Woods is great, just like Meta said. It's probably the closest thing to a scary movie that I would enjoy, I guess. But again, it's mostly just for the comedy. They really, they just set up a lot of it so well. Like the bird flying in to the the invisible wall or whatever
Yes.
near the start or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's long enough so that you forget about it. So when Thor, what's his face, Chris
Hemsworth.
Yeah, when he goes off to be heroic and whatever, he
just crashes into the wall.
Do it. You've forgotten, but
Yeah, you're like, oh no.
good.
Oh, that was such a good scene because I mean they did wonderful building that up too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful! Just cut right out from underneath them.
But yeah. I mean, what about you, Tats? I'm sure you've seen actual scary movies and enjoy them.
I've seen a few, but honestly, I'm not a big horror movie fan. I'm not big on jump scares, and I'm not big on gore, so that cuts out like 90% of them.
But you love Call of Cthulhu. That's all about horror.
See, no. See, that's the thing. I love creeping horror. The things that make you question everything you're seeing, and that existential dread in the back of your mind that you don't even know you're questioning. That's the kind of horror I want to watch. Like, I don't know.
You'd probably like the genre basement horror, as I've heard it called affectionately, where the purpose of that horror is to be like the long con. It's all very slow build up and whatnot, and generally doesn't it's not jumpy or scary. Eventually, it takes time for things to get there. You'd probably be a bigger fan of that because things slowly start to compound upon one another until eventually it explodes either at the climax or the end of the movie.
Have you seen The Mist?
I love The Mist too.
The Mist is good.
I just like Thomas Jane.
I'll be honest, so a lot of the ones that I was going to list, actually Mal talked about, Zombieland, Shaun of the Dead, Army of Darkness.
I mean, those can be, ones that you like. Because, to be fair, Shaun of the Dead, while it is in itself a comedy, gets pretty dark and serious at times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some strong scenes in there.
You should watch The Void, Tats.
I think.
Oh, God.
It's almost more sci-fi than horror, probably.
It is.
I like sci-fi horror. Like, I know.
You roboted out, buddy.
I love sci-fi as hell. Sci-fi horror as hell. It's funny that I bought it when I was.
The robots have claimed him.
Yes, humans.
Wow.
I too like horror movies.
I was trying to say I like sci-fi horror, but apparently sci-fi likes me enough to roboticize me.
Yeah.
Roboticize you? What is this,
You
Robotic
become
and
one with the
Sonic or
sci-fi.
something?
Yeah, but I mean, like one that I really enjoyed, despite I know it's a bad movie, was actually the Doom movie with The Rock.
Oh,
It was awful.
God!
I enjoyed it because it was awful.
Oh, God.
That was an awful.
That was an
I don't
awful
even
movie.
remember
But
that movie.
the best line of that whole movie is literally when The Rock likes, I'm not supposed to die before he gets dragged away.
Yes,
It is the absolute best twist in the.
Because
I
you're
will give
expecting
it.
him to be Doom guy. And
Yes,
he's
you
not.
are. He doesn't. Like, it's actually kind of funny. I actually thought that was probably like the only really good part about the movie. Was
Yeah.
the fact that like it made literally fun of the fact that like it's got The Rock. He's on the cover. He's literally seen as like the main character. He's followed around all the time. And then it turns out he's not really the guy that you're supposed to be focusing on. I just thought that was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll give them props. That was a good point.
Yeah. But so to talk about a different movie, I guess the maybe flavor of movie. There's one that I've only seen it like once. I need to go back and watch it again because it was pretty entertaining when I saw it. Maybe it was the circumstances that have made it so positive in my mind. But the movie's called Dead Snow, and I think it's a Swedish horror movie or Norwegian or something.
Dead Snow.
Dead Snow. And it's about these kids who go to this cabin in the Alps for their winter break.
Oh my
And
god.
they come across a bunch of stolen Nazi gold, and the Nazi zombies come to take the gold back. And it is hilarious.
Why didn't they just get it before the kids found it?
Because there was a curse on it or something. I don't fully
Could be
remember.
no movie, Mel.
Isn't this the movie where like one of the kids dual wields chainsaws or something?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god,
Yes.
yes.
This is that movie.
Oh
And
my
there-
god, this movie is amazing. It's campy as crap, but
There's
it's
this.
great
There's like
for it.
a 5-minute scene where they're on like trying to run from this bunch of the zombies on a snowmobile, and they're like making like this chain of zombies riding on the back of the snowmobile, trying to like climb up each other to get the guys driving the snowmobile.
That's
Like it is
great.
ridiculous.
I'm gonna recommend Mandy to you guys too. It's not a horror movie, but it's just amazing. It's Nicolas Cage. I'll probably be talking about that in the year review thing in December.
But then another one that I this is actually my Halloween go-to movie that we watch every year for Halloween. It's an anime, actually, a CGI anime called Kakurembo.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that.
Oh, what is that? I've never heard of it.
It's
Hide and seek.
Yeah, it's hide and seek. So the story is that in the middle of city, if you want to play like a really big hide and seek game, you can go and play. And there's rumors that demons come out. Ha ha ha! We'll come to find out there actually is, and they like harvest the kids to power the city, essentially. And so the kids are like trying to run from these demons that are now hunting them. And yeah, hide and go seek.
Wow. That's a hardcore game of hide and go seek. If you get sucked out, you lose.
Yep. And you have like
You die in the
demons are
game,
named,
you
like-
die in real life.
like the demons are like named like the blood taker, the liver taker, the kidney taker. Like it's like, oh man,
Wow, those names are
like-
really on point, right on the nose. Actually, you know, you made mention of this, Obs, but The Mist. I don't think all of the movie's considered all that great, although the ending has a
Yeah, it's-
The
wonderful
ending is
twist.
amazing.
what
It's
does
way
it.
better than the
Yeah.
novel's ending.
Even
but-
Stephen King says that.
Yeah, the ending was amazing. Oh god, it was so good. But I actually like that movie mostly for the creatures. The creatures are
It's
awesome.
very Lovecraftian.
Yes, God.
Oh, one so related Lovecraftian movies that because I need to see The Mist. It's actually one I've wanted to see. And another one that I've been told is it's recent, Annihilation.
Annihilation.
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not familiar with it.
Apparently, it's like almost cut and paste The Color Out of Space from Lovecraft.
Really?
Oh.
It had Natalie Portman and who else?
Oh,
It-
that movie.
It's,
The recent
it's
one.
2018. That
Yeah.
just came out this
Yeah,
year.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's recent. Yeah.
It's really good.
I didn't even know this was a thing. What?
I
So
forgot
like, what
that
is
was
it
the name of the
about?
movie.
Like, what is it about?
Well, Obs, you saw it, right?
Yeah, she's a biologist or some kind of scientist. They're basically a giant biodome. Weird biodome. Pauly Shore's there. A giant like dome appears out of nowhere, and they go to investigate it because weird supernatural things are happening inside. I think her husband went in there, and he hasn't
Yeah.
come back, or he came back and he's different. So she's trying to find out what's going on, and weird stuff happens while they're in there. And that's
Yeah,
about
it's
all you
called
can
The
say
Shimmer.
without spoiling it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called The Shimmer, and there's if you've read Color Out of Space, it's not overt, and at the same time it's overt, referencing The Color Out of Space. It's really interesting in how they've done it, based off of from what I read.
Wow.
Yeah, it's worth
Oh,
watching.
man.
It's good.
I'm gonna have to pick it up then again with Lily because that's just her jam. And I can't watch this. I
It
cannot watch
has
this
Poe
character without-
Dameron in it.
Poe
Can't remember.
Dameron.
I just call him Poe Dameron.
I remembered I got one for my favorite.
All right.
Pitch
Lay it on
Black.
us.
Oh, there you go.
Pitch Black. I don't think I've actually
the
heard
first Riddick movie.
Yeah.
Oh, still haven't heard of it.
What?
The Chronicles.
yeah,
of
I
Riddick.
actually haven't even watched the Riddick series in general.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. it's Riddick. It's Vin Diesel, and he's his character Riddick is being transported to prison from a spacecraft, and they they crash down onto this planet that seems to be empty, except
It's not.
as night comes and they start being attacked by these aliens. I mean, yeah, it's very alien-esque and whatnot.
Hey, you know what? Aliens aren't a bad thing to do.
Here's a movie that's probably not intended to be scary, but it scared the crap out of me. Ex Machina.
Ex Machina.
Yeah,
I don't know that
it's
one.
also got Poe Dameron in it and Donald Gleason. It's about a robot. That's they're training to be human.
Yeah, that
Yes.
one's
And
very creepy.
AI
from what
scares
I've
me.
heard.
So
This is the one where I believe it's got that CEO and he's working with a tech individual.
they do the whatever test. I can't remember the name of it. They're trying to test this robot. So it's really good. It's also horrifying, but
that is certainly something.
so yeah.
Yeah, that's these are good choices of movies. So
Watch
I
The
would
Witch.
say
You will
I
love
would-
it. You will love it.
I'll-
You will love it.
I have
You'll
to-
love it. It's on
Well,
Netflix.
I've apparently got a couple now. I have what you calls it? Not I have Annihilation. That's no, I'll actually have to see. I've never actually seen it, but I know so many scenes from because it popped up so often, came out. But I have a couple movies to see now, so that's good.
All right.
Next week we'll have to remember to ask what's everybody's favorite horror game.
That's true. That would be another good follow up.
Yeah. All right, Mal.
So I have been playing a new game, and it is not horror based.
The New Game Plus.
It is Pathfinder Kingmaker. It came out on September 25th. And it is by Owlcat Games, who this is the only thing they've done.
Came out in a bunch of plum.
Yeah. It had a Kickstarter, and it raised enough to be made. It's based on the in the Pathfinder universe and whatnot. It's a it's like a classic computer RPG, like Baldur's Gate style thing, isometric RPG, which I really love. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it. It's only $40.
I think you and Meta have talked extensively about these throughout the course of the podcast. You're both CRPG fans.
Yeah, so it has been disappointing, unfortunately. Yeah.
Does it use Pathfinder rules?
Yes, it's actually a pretty good translation into computer form, real time and whatnot. Like the standard action, they break it down into seconds or whatever because it's in real time. Though you can free pause or whenever. But yeah, like it's got, I think it's got like all the core races and the Azamar. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember if there are any other non-core races, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. All the core classes, and then quite a few of their extra base classes, like the Alchemist, the Inquisitor, or the Magus, are in it.
Does it have a samurai at all?
No,
Okay, so
no
Did
Cavalier,
you play a
Samurai,
Magus?
no Cavalier samurai.
no Witch. Actually, I went a
Aw,
different
man.
route. And I made my first level fighter, and then the rest were wizard, and then I'm gonna go into the what's it called, Eldritch Knight? Yeah, I think it's Eldritch Knight because there are 5 prestige classes in it as well for some reason.
Really, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe a little more than 5. It's got, I don't know, but there's a tiny amount of prestige classes, and each class has 3 archetypes.
Okay, well that's good to hear then.
Yeah. I think they reduced the skills by maybe about half ish. Like I know stealth and what is the I can't even remember now with Pathfinder. What is it to pick locks?
Sleight of hand.
Sleight
I
of
think
hand.
I think it's sleight of hand is for
I don't know.
picklocking.
Basically, those two and maybe another
Or
got
disable
reduced
device.
into
Yeah, I think you're right. Man.
yeah, disable device. That's what.
Yeah.
And probably sleight of hand. Then those 3 skills I think get reduced into trickery.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind
And then yeah, so there's less skills to deal with, and so you don't get like, and then like you don't get 1 skill point per extra intelligence just because of the skill disparity. I think it's probably 1 or for every 2 or something. But that's like the biggest difference in the how the rules translate. Almost everything else is the same, as far as I can tell.
Then what is so bad about this game, Mel?
So, I mean, it's built in Unity, which I mean maybe is part of it. There's just so many bugs, for one. Like, which I haven't even. I'm in chapter 2 of I don't know, but I'm like maybe 15, 20 hours in.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is a lot of people say the bugs just keep get worse the further in you go.
Really?
Yeah. The only one I've noticed for myself, as far as I can tell, is I have the feat Arcane Strike, which lets you spend your swift action to do or get some extra accuracy and damage. You have to be able to cast spells to do it. So I was like, I'll get this because it helps compensate for the lower base attack bonus of the wizard. And as far as I can tell, it just never works. It doesn't do anything.
I will say, like, I've seen a couple articles that have pointed out that the game has a lot of bugs that need to be fixed, and that they've been dropping some very large patches.
Yeah, they've been like for the all last week, like every day or every other day would just have a new patch, but there's still just so many bugs.
I really wanted to get this game too, but
Yeah.
after seeing like
I
how many
think
bugs and whatnot,
I mean, I think if they can get those worked out, it'll be a lot better. The other huge problem, as far as I'm concerned, is the load times are ridiculous.
like what are we talking here?
I had to uninstall off of my normal hard drive and put it on my solid state, which I don't typically do because it's so small. It's only like 100 and something gigs.
Yeah,
and it was still taking forever to load things.
Jeebus.
Like I would just sit there and play my mobile games like while it was loading to new areas and stuff. And the first time you boot up is like takes even or like maybe 5 minutes or something. The first time you load the game,
That's a
or
little bit
something
disgusting.
stupid. So I don't know. Hopefully they'll be able to also reduce that. Like I know Bloodborne had some like 30-second load screens, and they were able to cut that down by a bit or quite a bit. So I don't know. Maybe they can work some programming magic eventually after they get the bug situated with. And then like there's some other minor annoyances like when you go into like your safe space, your base of operations, it's just your character. All your party members go, do whatever. Like they go to different parts of the town where you can see them and talk to them and whatnot. So when you go to leave again and build your party, like it won't save the order. And if you played something like Baldur's Gate where you have formations, like you don't want the squishy people, like your character is always at the front. Because everyone else loads in behind them, and my character is very squishy, or at least compared to like my barbarian, my fighter with 29 AC at level 4, and
wait, how has he got 29 at level 4?
She's a tower shield specialist.
Okay. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, she's got ridiculous AC, and so the base formations, I had to use a custom formation to get around that. It's like a minor annoyance. There's a workaround, but it's still like something I feel like shouldn't have happened or whatever.
All right.
There's some of those. As the story I have liked. Like it starts with you in the court of an Eldori sword lord.
King.
Which you have like it's Pathfinder lore and stuff, so I'm not going to get too much into that, But basically, you're part of a team who's going to go clear out this hostile land, and then they will make one of them based on the performance and everything that's going on. Someone's going to end up the Baron of that land. Spoilers, it's you.
Do tell.
I mean,
someone's gonna happen.
What?
Right. There's like someone will be deemed worthy of the title, and of course it's going to be you because you're the player character.
Of course.
But the whole first chapter is completing that task basically, and it open and like as soon as you get back to your room, basically shit goes down and like assassins start attacking and whatnot. So and that it does well of teaching you how to play the game basically, and they have like I actually like the system they use for like alignment and stuff. Like a lot of your responses will have an alignment next to it, and if all you did was choose one, you weren't already that, you would like slowly make your way to your alignment changing. But you would need to do it a lot, so it's not like you're just going to accidentally become that alignment. But I just like
Oops, I murdered someone.
Right. And you could play a paladin who in Pathfinder has to be lawful good, and you could choose even an evil action like once, and you're not going to like all of a sudden be evil.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you had a change like that had greater, like it took less than just to like go in a like just towards neutral or whatever.
Actually, quick question for you on this one, because this is kind of interesting to bring it up. But I know you can do evil choices in this game. Is it possible to go full evil route?
As far as I know, I don't, because I feel bad for all of the imaginary pixels and computer processes. So I can't actually bring myself to be evil. But I know one of the characters. So most of my party is people from that first area that were going to be part of the team, or the Tower Shield chick was actually like the captain of the guard of that castle who ends up going with to along after the events go down or whatever.
Yeah.
One of them is an undead elf who is just evil, and that is one. There are just like Baldur's Gate, there are just evil party members you can get, so you can be completely evil.
Okay, that's cool.
And
Does
I
that
think
mean that is it possible then for your paladin class to turn into like a dark knight or
no, you'd probably just fall. I don't think it has anti-paladin.
That's
I am not playing a paladin, so
dang it. I'll have to look that up. I didn't know if you knew or not.
no, I'm pretty sure you would probably just fall, since they don't have the anti-paladin. It would be nice if they had the anti-paladin in it.
That would be cool. A shame.
Yeah. I like the characters, the party members. There is one iconic character from Pathfinder, the Barbarian. But again, if you don't know Pathfinder, that won't mean really anything.
Yeah.
Out of the box. So the story I've liked, and after you complete chapter 1 and you become the Baron or Baroness, I guess, if you're female, it unlocks like a kingdom management aspect to the game, which I also have enjoyed. Like you can you eventually can grow your barony and claim new territories, and then put a what is it called? A settlement, I guess. It's not something you would like. You can't just. It doesn't show up on the map, and you can travel to it. But in that, as a new area. But you can, in your kingdom management, you click on it and then start building different things like brewery, windmills, piers, orphanages. And they all have different stats that affect the kingdom and whatnot.
I love the character art.
Yeah, the
sorry
art's
to interrupt you, but
real good. Not enough of it though. Like the character arts was so good. I was just so disappointed that I didn't. There's only like maybe 2 options for like each race and character or like gender. I mean, so more of that would have been awesome. Yeah. Oh, you can also assign advisors to your kingdom. I think the game says there's 3 for each role, and there are eventually maybe 8 or 10 roles. I can't remember. You only start out with like 4 or 5. Can't remember off the top of my head. Like as your kingdom grows, you suddenly need like someone in, I think they call it a minister, but or not a minister, something like I don't know. Anyway, it's someone who's in charge of spying and then stuff like that.
A spy master, if you will.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
it is a spy master, but of course they give it a different
title,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, they're just not like, here's my guy in charge of spies. But yeah, so that stuff is cool. I like it gives you a lot of opportunity to talk your way through things if you don't just want to be murder hobo. Like I came across
cool.
two some warring it was a group of kobolds and a group of mites or whatever they're called, warring against each other, and you can just show up and be like, I'm going to be neutral in this, and or whatever, and they're like, okay, and they keep fighting with each other, but they won't fight you, which is nice because there are a lot of them on the map or whatever. But you could also then choose with one side or say, screw it. There's almost a lot of the times there will be a chaotic evil option of I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a dialogue choice in a lot of dialogue. So that's always an option. Just kill a lot of people you come across.
Absolutely, that's a great option. Now I do know one thing about the game is that it doesn't actually play like a Pathfinder game. It's not quasi turn based. It's more of like a RTS style.
So it's like the Borderlands, Baldur's Gate or whatever style where it does load them up into a turn order, like you do roll initiative and stuff. It's just that there's real-time pausing, so you could pause and but you queue up what you want everyone to do, and there is an AI too if you want, which you can tell it to like don't use your spells or use heal if, for in certain conditions. But yeah, usually I'll pause and then load up a bunch, and then depending on if it's a boss battle, I'll try and manage everyone's turn as best I can. Because after you choose, like if you tell your alchemist to throw a bomb, you'll see a countdown when you have them selected of because it's standard action to throw a bomb, so that's 3 seconds. And then once they get to 0, they do it, and then you could pause and then give them something else to do.
Got it.
Nice.
Like it does port over all the rules. It just will keep playing in real time unless you want to pause.
I would definitely turn on pause. I love that about Divinity. The fact that it does have like these turn order things that go through. So
yeah, it would be nice if you could have a mode that would do that. I guess like pause after every action taken on your side of the field would be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of nice.
Just auto select that person to give them the next one.
Yeah,
like, you could replicate it. Yeah, ultimately. Oh, and then another nitpick for me is, and like it's a personal for me type thing is like the whole first mission has maybe I think it's like 70 or 90 days to complete, which is just so you don't become level 10 in chapter 1 and kill all the people in the story or whatever easily. I just personally I hate being timed, so that's just like a minor issue, and it does show up with quite a bit, and it just makes me anxious when I'm managing my time, because like certain kingdom thing, like you'll assign your regents for amounts of time, and then like certain events will auto forward like 2 weeks or whatever, and
oh geez,
yeah, so it's looser with its time than I care for, and then there are timed missions, which I don't think I've ever been even close to failing any timed mission sort of thing, which there haven't been even a lot, but like the whole first chapter you have like 70 days, and I don't think I used even close to that. But it just makes me anxious and I don't like it, but that's just a me thing. I think after the bugs are taken care of, and I mean, as I like to play RPGs, I would like more options. Like there are a bunch of like the core feats and stuff, but I hope that it gets the Neverwinter Nights treatment and just gets tons of mods for like everything in Pathfinder.
From
would be
what
pretty cool.
from what I have seen, apparently, the game is left pretty open for modding
That's
stuff.
good.
So, obviously, if it does give the Neverwinter Nights or really any game that does this kind of thing, hopefully it gets a
Yeah.
lot of mod love. The only biggest hope you get is Skyrim mod love. Man.
Well, I say Neverwinter Night. Well, Neverwinter Nights 2 had nearly all like it had people modded in Tome of Battle, like they modded
Whoa.
in the Warlock, like
Home of Battle modding in?
oh yeah, like I play there.
Damn.
I brought in all 3 Tome of Battle classes in a mod once in Neverwinter Nights 2, and then like I don't know if they did the Tome of Magic. I mean, the only one worth anything would be Binder, but yeah, just all tons of 3.5 stuff is in Neverwinter 2, Neverwinter Nights 2. So that's what I was kind of hoping for this game because I mean, having like 10 or more, I can't remember the exact number, 10 or 15 classes with 3 archetypes each sounds like a lot for some people, but for me, that's not enough.
Yeah, I like my archetypes, but I generally have classes that I just like to play in general. So
Yeah.
It sounds like a good game for me when it goes on sale and the bugs are fixed.
yeah, that's
'Cause-
the same thing I'm
I-
thinking. I want to play the game,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely gonna wait for bugs.
I think probably within a year it'll probably be in a really good spot if nothing
Probably.
else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll get it sooner than that, but oh yeah, like the main writer is Chris Avallone, who has done a lot of good work with like Obsidian and stuff, and has worked on like all of the like Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, Baldur's Gate stuff. Like again, the writing I really liked. So
Who might
Worked
be
on-
bought out by Microsoft, Obsidian.
oh yeah, Obsidian, yep. We will see how that goes.
Yeah.
But Obsidian is always like nearly bankrupt. Like every game they sell like has to make them a lot of money to stay in
Yeah.
business. So it's probably not bad that they have someone big,
To float them.
Yeah. That's me.
All right, cool. Let's get on to my topic. I'm going to ask you guys a simple question. Simple question. Have you watched Goblin Slayer?
No.
I need to.
that's not my
I've heard
topic.
I've heard about I know this is
Controversy
a topic.
out the
All
wazoo.
I have heard that it is effectively Doom Guy, but versus goblins. So-
I've
Yes.
only seen memes.
I have only seen memes for this, but I saw one from a buddy before. Is it an anime or is it still a manga at the moment?
It's first a light novel, then a
One of
manga,
those.
and now I know, right? I've read like 10 chapters of the manga. It's pretty good, but
The guy who slays goblins.
yeah,
It's all he
he's
does.
the Doom guy with goblins.
Gotcha.
That's the manga, and it has waifus. So there you go.
Somehow I lost what we were like. My internet is stupid.
It's fine. It's fine, Des. No, the real topic. Because I mean, it kind of ties into Goblin Slayer because it's a new anime. We just started a new anime season.
That's
Some
true,
people
yeah.
like to wait till the season ends and watch all the anime at once. Other people like to watch it week by week, and the same thing with TV. And Netflix has kind of brought about the whole culture of binge watching. So I want to know, how do you guys prefer to consume your media? Do you binge watch it or do you watch it weekly?
Binge. I generally binge, and
Yep.
it's not. It's
Binge
not
boys.
I just the problem is that generally I don't like waiting for new episodes to come out. I don't like trying to schedule like I'll make sure that I watch my 22-minute episode or
That's
23-minute episode.
that's
sit down and
exactly it.
I don't like being on cliffhangers either. It's just I'll tell you, and I know exactly when I was like, this is not okay. Is when I played Halo 2. When we got to the cliffhanger end of that, I was like, this is not okay.
That is like, no more cliffhangers.
This is never again. So
It was a terrible movie.
it absolutely left a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, but there's still stuff. Why are we stopping here? And the problem is a lot of times I think cliffhangers really don't do a good job of stopping at a cliffhanger. So when you're watching a series, which is obviously designed not to be a cliffhanger and is meant to be like, see you next episode,
But we wouldn't have the JoJo meme meta.
God,
Not
I know,
without
right?
cliffhangers.
No, without
Yes.
cliffhangers. Roundabout starts. God.
I love that meme.
It's fucking JoJo's
Yeah.
great. But it's not that kind of thing. I just don't like that. It just doesn't sit well with me. I really want to consume as much of it, because the other reason for me at least is that I also get really into it. And once I've watched like an episode or two, I'm like, okay, fuck yeah, this is great. It's going. We're gonna keep going. Yeah. But it's only 23 minutes. I'm like, that was a neat episode. And then I was like, okay, guess I'm gonna go do something else now. I don't like that. That just doesn't sit well with me. I like getting invested into what I am doing. I don't want to take a little small break from whatever else I'm doing, drop 23 minutes on something, and then walk away and be like, neat.
Yep.
I almost always binge everything I consume.
But manga, Mao. Manga.
Well, so yes, the exception is things I, enjoy immensely. Like with My Hero Academia, even as in anime form, I will try and watch all the new ones as it comes out instead of waiting for the whole season to be done, just because I love it that much. And even with other media, except like anime is probably actually the more of the exception, just because they are better at doing self-contained stories, and there's not usually the exception of seasons that go on. But with like shows from over here or whatever, I won't even watch them if they're only one season. Like if there's only one season out, I won't even watch it, because I know I'm going to.
It's not going to be worth it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Especially, well, maybe if they've greenlit season 2, but if there's no confirmation of season 2, it's like I'm not even touching it. Like, what's the point? I'm just gonna fall in love, and there's not gonna be enough of it.
Well, if it's its own little story, then it's fine, Mel.
Right. Well, yeah, it's not very common over here.
No.
Much. Like, I don't need a Firefly.
It's weird because there's a lot of anime I've binge watched, but it's only the ones that are already done. So it's kind of like you can't really watch it week by week, or.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes I break it down. I'll watch like an episode or two, a nod, or every few days or so. But no, I actually like watching stuff week to week, just because it gives me something to look forward to. I have a lot more free time than I think Meta and Tets do, for sure. I don't know about Mao. He goofs off all the time. But I don't know. It gives me something to look forward to each week. I don't mind cliffhangers as much as you do, Meta. They don't. I can understand why they drive some people crazy, though, completely.
Never again. Will not suffer.
Yeah, I don't mind them as much, and I've just kind of always been in that mentality growing up. I remember having to. Back in my day, we had to walk to school in the snow. I remember back as a kid waiting like a year for the freaking Namek saga to end on Toonami. So, like, waiting has never been like a super huge deal to me. It always sucks in the moment. Like, the My Hero Academia season 3 just ended, and I already want season 4 because it's a really good arc. And it ends on a pretty good cliffhanger with the guy who wears the I can't remember his name, but he wears the plague mask thing.
Oh yeah. I don't remember
introduced.
his name either.
That's where I stopped in the manga.
He's a
I can't wait to see that final fight.
yeah. It's that whole stuff is really good. They introduce
into
Le
my
Millionaire
veins.
too, who's one of my favorite characters, and he's awesome. But yeah, I don't mind watching stuff week to week. I mean, because like I was egging Mal about earlier, I mean, I consume shonen manga. I wait for that every week. It's almost like the same thing. There's not really a lot of TV I watch other than like South Park. Really, is probably the only thing I watch week to week whenever the season's going on for it. But
Y'all do weekly manga, but I don't. It's just kind of how I came about doing it. Like, plus it's too annoying to like track track down what I want to like watch a bunch or like read a bunch of. Like, if I don't read it weekly, I'll probably forget about it or something.
Yeah. And sometimes it is hard to like remember what goes on week to week too. Whereas when you binge it, it's just there and fresh in your mind. I mean, I binged my fair share of stuff. I think I've talked about watching Naruto in like 2 weeks, like 300 episodes or close to there. I think I watched, because when I got into Naruto, in Japan, they had just finished his fight with Itachi. And I think that, not counting filler, that's like 300 episodes there and about. So it was a lot.
Yeah. So
I mean, I've binge watched my fair share of stuff, and I tend to do that more with TV. It seems like, because there's a lot of my favorite, I guess that you would say, TV shows are stuff that come on Netflix, like Stranger Things, and I was big on House of Cards when House of Cards is in its heyday. It's kind of got worse in the last few seasons, but stuff like that. And that goes on Netflix. It's easy to binge watch, but I don't mind watching stuff week to week either. I think most people are binge watching now. Again, it's just like the kind of Netflix mentality, and people have less time. It's like easy to do on weekends.
And everything.
Netflix and chill is the number one date that you can go on now. So.
Well, and a lot of people, or a lot of places too, like they release the whole season one. It's not, you don't have as much where people are locked in having.
Yeah. Even like Amazon and stuff does that kind of stuff now too. Like Man in the High Castle, people I'm sure have probably been.
Tons of the streaming services is just here's everything.
Yeah, Hulu. People have stuff like HBO Go, and I think they'll get it like for a month and just binge watch Game of Thrones when it's over or something like that, or what have you. But yeah, so those are that's how I roll.
I think I mostly binge, for all the reasons that have been mentioned, plus one that is very unique to me. My ADHD will not let me watch episodes week by week. I will 100% forget about it. Like, when I'm into something, I dive into it. I will watch all 3 seasons in the course of 12 hours. Not really, because that's not possible, but you know what I mean. But if I'm having to watch something or read something, wait for it to come out, I forget about it, and then by the time I remember to get around to it, it's already on season 3 of the anime, and the manga's way past where I left off, and I don't know anything about the guy with the plague mask. So
you need to pick that back up, because that arc's really good.
Yeah, well, I left off when he showed his power. So, but yeah, and I do that with manga, right? Like, I'll let it build up all of these chapters, and then I'll sit through and I will just read it all up to where it's at, and then I'll let it build up for a while, and then jump back in there. And part of it's everything else that's mentioned. Part of it is that I have so many things that I'm doing and working on and interested in that I tend to throw myself into it fully. So by the time I remember, oh yeah, there's that one show, 2 more seasons came out.
Even with games, I'm kind of more like play a little bit at a time now that I'm working and stuff all the time. Back when I was in school and I could play Persona 80 hours in like 4 days or something.
Games I have to play 1, because if I pick up another, I will not probably return to the last one.
But yeah. All right, cool. This has been episode 67 of Podcast of 5 Rings, your source of enlightenment. They're on video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of 5 Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, and talk by topic day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. Check us out on Twitter, Podcast5R, Facebook P5R Podcast, Meta and Lily streaming, twitch.tv/PSO Flow. We'll be back next week to talk about scary games. And spooky cereal. Our favorite spooky cereal. Is it Blueberry, Frankenberry, or Count Chocula? Count my man, Count Chocula.
You're both wrong, just to let you know.
He started Hotel Transylvania.
He did. With
Adam Sandler. Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Bye.
Later.
Later.